Okay, so we're back. Now, okay, again, yeah. So we took a little break. Camera malfunction. So we're talking about abstract space and the way to visualize it. And I've been talking about circles and lines.
Yes.
And we're talking about nodes, and we're talking about, up to now it's really just two circles and a line and defines a relationship. That's pretty clear. It's networking. But there's also other ways of understanding relationships. So there's also Venn diagrams, which are two interlocking circles.
Yeah, and they overlap and show you the relationship in the middle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are system patterns, or I call a system pattern, which is basically you're a circle, I'm a circle, we're within a circle.
Right.
So it's an inside outside type of model. So circles
that
are inside, circles are outside.
Built on levels.
Sure, and it's all levels. And
Yeah.
same thing with the hierarchy. And they're actually a hierarchy. If you look at a circle that has two circles within the circle, you can actually expand it to the hierarchy being the top circle, then drops down to two circles, and those two circles are inside this circle.
Right. Yeah.
So from looking at it this way, you see a circle with two circles inside, but if you look at it this way, you get a circle with two circles drawn out.
Yeah.
So you see how there's a switch in perspective?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the whole point, is that there's 5 relationship patterns, and they're all different ways of looking at this abstract space. So you have the nodes. Go ahead.
So what will appear as a pattern from one direction or one observation point, if we rotate or move or observe it from a different point, it's one of the other patterns.
Exactly. And there's 5 different ways of looking at it. So it's like a prism. And that's really important, because you can't explain everything logically using just one of the patterns. Like if I were to just try to explain to you everything just using networks, like circles and lines, it wouldn't be a complete explanation.
Yeah, there'd be holes in it somewhere.
There would be holes. You'd be like, well, how do you explain this and this? But it's like, then you go, okay, well, if you look at it from a hierarchical view, then you can explain certain things. If you look at it from Venn diagram view, you explain other things. If you look at it from a system, you understand other things. If you explain it from the mechanical model, then you can explain other things.
Right.
And the mechanical one being gears. So we're each gears, and we're interacting, literally meshing together. And as I'm communicating, I'm pushing your gear, your gear. Then there's other gears also interacting.
Yeah.
And they're all being pushed. By me pushing you, you're pushing other things.
Yeah.
And
because those gears are connected. So
they're all connected. And you can say it's just in your mind, like me giving you information, you're in your mind is da-da-da-da-da. But it's
that
more
saying, the cogs are turning.
The cogs, exactly, right? In our heads, we have cogs, right? But the idea is that these cogs extend into an abstract space. It's not just in our heads. It's literally
so they're part of a bigger machine.
It's part of a bigger machine, and that's really important. And it's kind of collective consciousness. It's it's hard to say that it's tough to define because it's abstract.
Sure, but I think I know what you're trying to say in that the sum of the parts is greater than the whole kind of thing.
Yeah, I would definitely say there's a greater machine.
Yeah.
And we're affecting it, and it exists on its own within an abstract space. And our brains, what I was trying to say before is our brains take reality, what we see, this physical space, and they convert it into those patterns. That's why our brains are built in hierarchies. That's why our brains think in terms of Venn diagrams. Our brains naturally think, and that's what I was trying to say. The theory behind the brain is not the computer. It's the way that it interprets the relationship patterns. And it builds, it builds these things in our head that you can look at and say, okay, it's doing this and that, but its fundamental purpose is to look at reality and convert things into these hierarchical patterns and integrate it, and then integrate it within this collective mind space. And it does so. It's like you want to think okay, a brain is separate. It's like, okay, we all have brains. We're all separate. They're not connected. That's the conventional way of looking at things, right? Like you have your own thing and is not fucking with anything else around us.
Yeah.
And
though my thoughts are my own kind of.
Yeah, and there's definite truth to that, but I think we're missing the piece that there's a balancing thing going on between this abstract space and reality and the physical space. And it's like and it's when you model it probabilistically across all of our minds, there's an equation, a mathematical pattern, that it's not independent, and that when you add them all up together, all of the things that are in our brains and our thoughts, and then you look at the relationship with what's happening in physical reality, there's a pattern, like
some kind of relationship.
There's an equilibrium. So the amount of things that change in our minds
changes just as much in the physical world.
Just as much in the physical world, but not necessarily proportionally. Like probabilistically, and it can happen anywhere around us.
Yeah.